Hey guys, welcome back to the HPR Chronicles with Shakur and Smith.
What's up?
It is Wednesday, July 24th.
24.
And before I even go anywhere, today in history, don't forget the end of the show. It's a podcast about history, politics, and race from a cool perspective. We're going to try to break it down simple and plain so you guys can understand it. You know, I'm a filmmaker from Trinidad and Tobago with and I travel a lot. I really like history and politics. We always debate about it all the time. Mm-hmm. Chris, aka Crispy, is a veteran of the Army Reserves that works for the VA with a passion for history and politics. We always say it's about truth. No, we're not pro-race anything. We're just pro-truth. And if the truth offends you, we're sorry, not sorry. And that's what we say every week. Always like to thank our viewers on YouTube, IC Digital. You can subscribe if you haven't. And all of our listeners on all the streaming platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, all of our cell phone podcast apps. You can get us everywhere. So just want to always like to thank everybody for listening, because you could be listening to anyone else, but you took a moment to listen to us.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
How about that?
Yeah.
So, like we always do every week, we switch off from topic to topic, week to week, you know, just to kind of take the load off and the studying off of one person. So, this week is
it's my turn.
Chris's week, and I'm going to be taking notes if I have questions and stuff like that. Hopefully, I know what he's talking about so I can shed some light and, you know, make an interesting conversation for you guys today, wherever you're listening to us, whether you're working out, in traffic, driving to work, driving home from work, whatever you're doing, cooking, you know, whatever you're doing, listen to your podcast. Yeah, Crispy, so what do you have for us today?
Today, I am going to talk about cannabis.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Just marijuana, cannabis. Yeah. So
what are you covering? The history of it, the politics behind it?
Just more of the politics, where it's legal and stuff like that. Oh, okay, you know, and some of the effects and safeties about it.
Yeah, because it says history, politics, and race. So we can pick any of those topics, or a combination of two or three or one. You know.
So cannabis, sativa, or I guess you could say cannabis indica, also known as hemp, is a species of the Cannabaceae family of plants. Cannabis contains the chemical compound THC, which is delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol,
which is what the CBD has in it.
Yeah, which is believed to be responsible for most of the characteristic psychoactive effects of cannabis that leads to that high that is experienced when cannabis is consumed. However, not all components of cannabis are psychoactive. The dried leaves and flowers, also called buds, of the cannabis plant are known as marijuana, which can be smoked, like if you're using a pipe or you roll a joint, or it can be consumed as an edible, and that would be like people make brownies, cookies, there's gummy bears and stuff like that, gummies. So, and then there's the resin secretion of plants, of the plant is also known as hashish. Mm-hmm. Hashish, which can be eaten or smoked.
Oh, so is that what they make the edibles out of? The chocolate bars, the cookies?
No, they actually take the dry leaves.
Oh, okay.
But you can. So this may be fairly. I mean, I'm sure the stuff I'm getting is new because it includes. I'm going to talk about the legal states for recreational use. Mm-hmm. But one big thing that. Because I've watched different cooking shows on different streaming platforms, and they'll talk about the oil. So there's a way to take the flour and turn it into an oil, and still get your effects. So sometimes you may be having doing a cookie, and you could still cook the dry stuff in it, but you could add oil to it.
Right, so it's a process in which they get the edibles and stuff from the cannabis. Yeah.
Correct. So, you know, like I said, and then the last one that's a way cannabis is used. The fiber of the cannabis plant is cultivated as industrial hemp, which is used in textile manufacturing. So, some years ago, my first ex-wife had bought me a shirt and was made out of hemp.
Right.
It's like kind of interesting.
Because the CBD and that because I have an online CBD company, guys. The CBD is made from the hemp seed, right, and not the hemp leaves.
Correct. Yeah. But there's but hemp at one time was used to make clothing, rope, paper.
And you still can get a lot of
things.
hemp products now.
You can, yep. So which states have legalized medical marijuana? This part I really just didn't know, like how many. I thought it was less, but 33 states.
Are you serious?
Like,
I thought it was just California, Colorado.
No, 33 states and the District of Columbia legally allow cannabis for medical personal use.
Not recreational like Cali and Colorado.
Correct.
Yet. Okay.
So the rules surrounding the use of medical cannabis, medical marijuana, it varies from state to state. I'm not going to hit on that. So if you're actually interested in it, I would do a Google search and look into it and figure out how, if you're wanting to do it medically, you have to go to, I'm sure you have to go to a doctor. They have to agree and then subscribe, and then you probably end up paying a fee and blah blah blah. But it's you have to get a doctor's prescription, but also make sure you understand the rules. You know, how much are you allowed? Can you be on you? If you do, you probably have to have some type of proof that you are using it medically. So the first state in the union to legalize the medical use of marijuana was California. In 1996.
Oh, Colorado was the first to do recreational.
Yes.
So I get confused there. Okay.
So states that allow medical marijuana include Alaska, Arizona, which I'm shocked on that one. And I remember that they were thinking about trying to do recreational, but then it didn't get passed.
Who?
Arizona.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, interesting, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Hawaii, makes sense, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Dakota, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, Washington, and the District of Columbia has also approved the use of medical marijuana.
Wow, I didn't know that.
When I do, just in case some people don't know, the reason why you say "and" the District of Columbia is because it's not a real state.
Right. So, which we'll cover on a podcast.
Yeah.
The propaganda behind that's supposedly not some state, but it's here. And we'll definitely cover that on a podcast.
Yeah. Medical marijuana in the U.S. is controlled at the state level. So each state gets to decide how they want to have it run. So it is important to recognize that these state marijuana laws do not change the fact that using marijuana continues to be it's still illegal under federal law. So per federal law, cannabis is illegal and a Schedule I substance as noted in the U.S. Controlled Substance Act. And just so if you're not sure, looking at, you definitely might want to check out the whole schedules, because Schedule I is the highest penalty, most prohibitive use. Like even doing research was considered very much illegal. And now states are kind of able to do it because they've made it legally, but you most likely won't get federally grants for it because of it being illegal. Where like cocaine, heroin, stuff like that, those are Schedule IIs.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. Use of medical marijuana outside of the state laws are illegal use or trafficking will not Use of medical marijuana outside of the state laws are illegal use or trafficking will not be tolerated by state or federal government. So we now understand and know that there are some states that do allow legal. So what about legal, what's about recreational use? Right. So adult recreational use and what states are allowing it. So there are 11 U.S. states and Washington, D.C., so again, the District of Columbia, have legalized the use of recreational marijuana.
Is that many? 11?
Yeah. So, yep.
Wow.
That's interesting, too. Yeah. So legal, not all of these states permit the commercial sale of recreational cannabis. So you may be able to grow like a plant or two or something, or so many, and use it at home, or having it on you is okay, but probably the sale of it is somehow. There's some weird things, because I remember when it was first started out in California, you couldn't actually buy. It was more like you can be given so much. But so a lot of times they'll say, oh, instead of it being a purchase, it's a donation. So you're giving a donation to someone, and then they
Right. That's how they get around it.
get around the. So Colorado and Washington State both had recreational use, made it legal in 2012. Oregon, Alaska, and Washington D.C. all made it legal for recreational use in 2014. California, Massachusetts, Maine, and Nevada all did it in 2016. And then Vermont, Michigan were 2018, and Illinois was recently in 2019.
Just this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
In June 2019, the Illinois legislature approved House Bill 1438, a measure to legalize recreational marijuana by January 2020. It is important to note that the federal government still considers cannabis an illegal drug, and the distribution and sale of marijuana is a serious crime. Under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is still considered a Schedule I drug like cocaine. Oh, my fault. It's still considered a Schedule I drug like cocaine and heroin.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Double check that one. Sorry, but I'm going to go with it because it's here. But I thought certain ones were not as high because cocaine and heroin, they've used those for studying and figuring out the effects or the benefits or not benefits. Anyway, cultivating and distribution of marijuana are felonies. Possession for personal use is a misdemeanor. Possession of paraphernalia is also illegal. Cultivating 100 plants or more carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years, according to federal statutes. In the past, for example, in the Obama administration, it has been stated that it is unlikely that the federal government is interested in pursuing individuals complying with state-mandated regulations surrounding legalized cannabis for recreational use, although the CSA law still gives them authority to do so. So these rules can and have changed based on political changes that may occur in the legislation. The most recent Department of Justice (DOJ) memo on federal marijuana enforcement is out there and can be looked at. And things had changed when it was Obama's administration. He didn't really want to have people prosecuted for marijuana as much.
Yeah.
And then when Trump got into the White House, he had Sessions at the time was very much still wanting to prosecute people. However, additional states continue to undertake or pursue citizen petitions in the future to legalize the recreational use of cannabis. According to Brookings Institute, presidential election years bring out an electorate more favorable to cannabis legalization than the off-year electorate. So when there's a president actually being voted, and if people were to put out, try to change their state laws, they're more likely to get people to vote for it as opposed to doing it when it's not a presidential election year. Which makes sense because more people vote for presidents than they do for other stuff. So, in a recent survey, 2 out of 3 Americans now support legalization. So, specific city and county laws have been enacted to regulate how citizens and tourists may possess and consume marijuana. Penalties exist for driving while under the influence of marijuana. Someone driving under the influence of cannabis is considered impaired in both Colorado and Washington when 5 nanograms per milliliter of blood or more of active THC is detected. So if you have too much THC that's above this 5 nanograms per milliliter, and I'm not sure what the number is, but anyway, you would get what would be a DUI. Yeah. Driving under the influence. So,
I remember years ago. You want to finish?
Just that cities, municipalities, employers, landlords, and universities may have special policies about the use of marijuana. So be sure to check those rules.
Right. No, I was going to say, I remember years ago when they tried to vote it in California, people were saying no back then. then it took some years for them to get that yes vote. I think it's interesting how they just waited a couple of years for like the climate around it to
change.
shift.
Yeah.
And people voted yes on it. And now everybody's voting yes on it in states. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's again, like,
so
it's kind of
Louisiana wasn't on that list, right?
No.
Right. So I have some friends in Louisiana who actually do pretty good business, and they have like legal vape shops and stuff right now, and they're waiting for that to be legalized because they already have the business structure to just implement cannabis. You know what I mean? Whether it's legal or recreational. So they've been waiting for a while, and I think even in Baton Rouge, because I was there for a project. You know, I'm still doing stuff with these producers too, and they like diverse. They own restaurants and vape shops and stuff, and I know they're waiting. And I know in Louisiana they've been voting no on it. So just like in California, these guys have been waiting for them to finally give it the yes.
Yeah. Well, what's
so
interesting
in
this list of the 33 states, there's only one. You know, and I don't typically tend to include Florida as being like a true. Well, it is a Republican state, but it's not. You know, it doesn't feel like you're going to be treated real bad when you're there or something.
Right.
But it's interesting how the only other southern state is Arkansas. Everything else is up north.
Yeah.
You know, it's just interesting how. You know,
in the South,
right?
Because Louisiana
they are still fighting it.
Yeah,
correct. So, and I do know that as time goes on, you're going to still, people are going to, younger people are starting to vote or will be voting, and it's the younger groups that are not as restrictive as others would be. So medical cannabis. The most common use for medical cannabis include for severe and long-term pain, nausea, and vomiting due to like chemotherapy, for cancer treatments, and then painful muscle spasms. However, there are several medical conditions for which patients can use medical marijuana, and they vary from state. So you got cancer, glaucoma, HIV/AIDS, Huntington disease, inflammatory bowel disease, multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms, neuropathy, Parkinson's disease, PTSD, which is also called post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, it helps with all that.
Seizures, like if you're epileptic, severe pain, and it's a very good alternative to using opioids. Severe nausea, like a pension, spinal cord injury, and then weight loss and muscle atrophy.
You can use it for weight loss too?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Now, is that recreational uses?
No, this is like if you were wanting for medical reasons. These are some of the good.
Wow, I don't know you can use it for weight loss.
It could be used
I thought people want a snack when they.
If they're having issue and it's a dramatic weight loss and muscle atrophy. So
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So medical marijuana comes in various forms of use. There's oil, tablets, capsule, liquid that can be vaporized, nasal spray. And the traditional dried leaves and buds that can be smoked or taken as edibles. So with medical use, so even though it's a federal DEA Schedule I controlled substance, research has resulted in development and marketing of medications which are synthetic cannabinoid
It is a tongue twister. Cannabinoid.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister.
So Marinol is used for the control of vomiting and nausea caused by chemotherapeutic agents used in the treatment of cancer and to stimulate appetite for AIDS patients. So and then there's Casamet, which is used for the control of nausea and vomiting, again for treatment of chemotherapy.
Wow.
So there's different, things that they've actually
so cannabis
isolated.
Is really a plant from the earth that's actually good for us. It's just bad when people, it was deemed bad when people smoke it to get high. But the question is, even when you smoke it to get high, are there any medical benefits you get from it? Because I know with your lungs, putting smoke in your lungs depends on what you're using to inhale it, right? Whether it affects your lungs in a bad way. Well, it's just the burnt leaves itself.
No, there is some.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is some long medical side effects. Mm-hmm. So some common so if you're smoking cannabis for a very long time, and even though, just period, if you're smoking for years on I'm guessing like every day and something like that, you can get an irritation to your lungs. You risk developing chronic bronchitis, and an increased risk of developing cancer of the respiratory tract.
Right, because of the smoke.
Because of smoke.
It's foreign.
Yep. Yeah. You can exacerbation of pre-existing cardiovascular disease. So if you already have something that's wrong cardiovascular-wise, this could make it worse. Right. Decreased concentration levels, reduced short-term memory, and difficulties with thinking and learning. So those are issues.
I have heard that.
But now the nice thing about
so it's better to take it in a recreational form moderately, in a medical form as much as needed.
Yeah,
it's not going to affect you the same way as the smoke, because you're ingesting it in a different fashion where it's not affecting the lungs, stuff like that.
Well,
kind of like CBD, even though it only has 0.3% THC in it.
Correct.
There's still a lot of medical benefits. There's no side effects.
Correct.
CBD.
There should be no side effects.
It's just all medical benefits. Some of which you actually named.
Yeah. So what, as you're saying, like. If you're burning the leaves and doing the joint or and you're getting the real smoke into you, there's a chance you're gonna get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But also, so I wanted to finish or add to the part about your decreased concentration and thinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But to get rid of it, to resolve and have it go back, is just to stop smoking.
Right.
So it's not like it affects you forever.
Long term. Okay.
You just stop smoking, and then those senses or those abilities just come back.
So when you stop, is it like an immediate return of those senses?
I would say I'm guessing like within weeks, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Things will change because it's going to get out of your body.
Smoker and those are some of the effects you're having. You just got to stop, and within a few weeks, all those should come back. It's not like it's just a long-term effect.
Correct, and it's going to take long-term to happen again. No,
I got you.
It usually, it can affect your sex drive. It can decrease it in some people. Chronic use can lower sperm count in males and lead to irregular periods in females. And again, to resolve it, you just stop.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then decrease dependency on cannabis. Compulsive need to use the drug coupled with problems associated with chronic drug use. So if you're having issues, if a person is taking worse drugs or whatever, that's the same thing. You become dependent because you've got stuff on your mind. I mean, you could end up drinking alcohol.
Right.
Still be So then I was going to also say some of the effects. What are the effects of cannabis? The effects experienced by cannabis or marijuana users will vary and will depend on the dose, the method of administration, prior experience, any concurrent drug use, personal expectations, your mood, and the social environment in which you're using it. So, like, you can have an altered state of consciousness. You'll feel high, happy, euphoric, so, very relaxed, sociable, uninhibited. Another thing is distorted perception of time and space. The user may feel more sensitive to things around them and may also experience a more vivid sense of taste, sight, smell, and hearing. You can have increased pulse and heart rate, bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils, and often the increased appetite or munchies.
Right. Yeah, you always hear about the munchies.
Yeah. Impaired coordination and concentration, making activities such as driving a car or operating machinery difficult and dangerous. Negative experience can also happen if you're such as anxiousness, panic, self-consciousness, and paranoid thoughts. People who use large quantities of cannabis may become sedated or disorientated may experience toxic psychosis, not knowing who they are, where they are, or what time is it. Interesting. High doses may also cause fluctuating emotions, fragmentary thoughts, paranoia, panic attacks, hallucinations, and feeling of unreality. So, how long does it take for cannabis to work? The effects of inhaled cannabis are felt within minutes, reach their peak in about 10 to 30 minutes, and may linger for 2 or 3 hours. However, edible cannabis, which may contain a higher amount of THC, can take a longer period of time to reach full effect, as it must be absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract. The effect of edible cannabis can last up to 12 hours.
Yeah.
THC is highly lipid soluble and can be stored in fat cells, possibly for several months. So stored THC is released very slowly and unevenly back into the bloodstream. That's interesting. Didn't know that.
I've heard some horror stories, man, from the entertainment industry. People doing edibles and end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
they just ate too much.
Too much. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to.
You have to be careful.
With stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's anything you're eating. So, safety. So, consumption of marijuana leads to a psychoactive drug effect. Do not drive, operate machinery, or perform other hazardous activities while using cannabis. It may cause dizziness, drowsiness, and impaired judgment. States that have legalized marijuana for recreational or medical consumption have laws in place that make it illegal to drive under the influence of marijuana. Review each state's law carefully. Do not drink alcohol while using cannabis. Alcohol will increase dizziness, drowsiness, and impaired judgment. Cannabis may increase the effects of other drugs that cause drowsiness, including antidepressants, alcohol, antihistamines, sedatives, that's like for insomnia.
Yeah.
Pain relievers, anxiety medicines, seizure medicines, and muscle relaxants. Cannabis is still considered or is still a Schedule I drug, so definitely gotta be careful. Like for me, being a federal employee, I'm not supposed to be partaking because as a federal employee, I have to follow federal laws, and federal law is that it's illegal. So if I was caught, and it could cause my job.
Right, and I also heard like in some states, even though it's legal, the feds can still come down on some of those states.
Yeah, they could.
Even though it's legal, which is interesting. And I've seen in California some medical dispensaries get shut down by the feds just because they felt like it.
Yeah, they can.
Which
they can still pick on
you. It's legal, in the state.
Yeah.
But the feds are saying, no, we don't care. It's still illegal to us. And we have
they have the top power,
the precedence over the state laws, which is crazy to me.
Well, it is interesting because you'll hear people, and I might have mentioned it before, where people will defend state rights for things, and I mean, definitely a lot of Republicans will say, well, we don't really want to do something federally. If states are making their little choices, then we're good with that.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, a lot of states are talking or have spoken and said we would like it for medical use. That should at least be, done. 33 states, it might as well just be across the board instead of it just being a few.
And the feds can still go and shut it down. And I know Mike Tyson is doing his ranch, the Tyson Ranch, which is a cannabis resort. You heard about it, right?
No.
Oh yeah, he's doing
cannabis resort.
Yeah, Mike Tyson is doing a cannabis resort. Yeah, look it up. Like Google the Tyson Ranch, real quick, and you'll see.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's pretty interesting, and I've been following Tyson on the whole thing. And it's supposed to be a pretty nice place, man, for people to go. It's it's gonna be kind of like a resort for adults. It's supposed to be really, really nice. It's in Nevada somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. What does it say?
So Tyson Ranch is a cannabis company founded by Mike Tyson, and through partnerships. Really cool. So they're growing.
See the pool?
Yeah, that does look.
Yeah.
Look at those cabanas in the water.
it's supposed to be a resort, a cannabis resort.
So while you're there, I guess you're able to just smoke legally.
Legally. Yep.
Interesting. Let's see if we got a about us. Here are the difference.
Tyson Rats are different.
Not all cannabis is it created equally. So basically, it's a resort that you can legally smoke.
Yeah. So guys, imagine going to, I don't know if you've been to, Mexico to any of the popular resorts and stuff like that, but imagine like going to one of those resorts, but it's cannabis. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what you're saying. Like going to like when we went to Cabo.
Yeah, to that resort.
So the resort we were at, instead of it being just alcohol,
it would be cannabis.
Wow.
All kind of cannabis. You could smoke. You can. It's supposed to be really cool. Like I said, I've been following it a lot. But just something you guys could look into. After you listen to the podcast, it's interesting. And a lot of, I'm in entertainment, as you guys know. So a lot of my entertainment friends got into cannabis like years ago, and they're doing really well and stuff like that. And I myself, I'm into CBD, which the Farm Bill just passed in 2018, and we launched in March. I'll leave the description. And so for us with CBD, we're having a lot of issues now with credit card processing and our merchant services and all that kind of stuff. So one of the biggest I'm literally dealing with that right now, guys. So one of the biggest companies that process CBD through Visa and MasterCard and stuff, they stopped doing it. They were connected to US Bank, and they stopped doing it because of all these technicalities, because even though the Farm Bill was passed in 2018 and it's nationwide, some states or something like that, it's still not exactly legal, which I don't understand, because CBD only has 0.3% THC in it, and the medical benefits of it is just unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our company right now is dealing with that, and we're actually in the process of signing up with another merchant, that out of Louisiana, actually, who it sounds like will be able to get us the correct credit card processing, so we don't have to do e-checks and stuff like that. You guys will find that some of your CBD companies are using e-checks, which I almost had to go to, but I think today I found a way to still use credit cards. So
good luck on that.
Yeah, we should be back up and running soon. Yeah, and it's supposed to be foolproof. But I think, and it's funny, I had a conference call today with this company, Journey Solutions and stuff, and it looks like, because the Farm Bill just passed, I know for us with CBD and not cannabis, I think, what was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think with us, it'll end up clearing up, because CBD is so new. No one really kind of knows what to do and stuff. So the company we were talking to today is saying that it's definitely going to get easier, and it's going to start clearing up as time goes on.
So even though it doesn't have any THC, they're probably still...
It only has 0.3% THC in it, which is a legal amount.
Got it. But I guess they're still worried how it's a legal amount?
I don't know.
So I guess what I'm guessing is, because of the fact THC is, illegal, banks don't want to have the possibility of the feds coming after them for taking something.
I don't know if that's what it is. She said something about people dealing with like the merchants dealing with fraud and this and that, and because it's one of those industries that's projected to make so much money. They were saying that sometimes companies try and do illegal stuff.
Okay.
And then the bank will be, you know what I'm saying? Instead of doing it legit like how we're doing in a lot of other companies out there, someone can just go act as if they bought, $2,000 worth of CBD, and it'd be fake and this, that, and the other. The bank has to pay that back if someone does it with a fake credit card.
Okay.
Because it's such a
new thing,
a product that's in high demand.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I get it. I think.
And it's like, yeah, so it's interesting, man. So yeah, and so basically what's happening now with CBD is internationally, you can get credit card processing through an international source, but it's very expensive.
Oh, okay.
Even though you're selling it in the U.S. and it's not even legal to sell it internationally yet.
Oh.
And right now, I have companies hitting me up from everywhere, from London, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, asking me if I could sell them CBD.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, man. I mean, if I get caught, I'll get shut down. It's illegal for me to sell it to you internationally.
Oh, okay.
And this one guy in Puerto Rico, I said, check with your customs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think once he gets to customs, they'll open it up and say, why are you buying CBD? And then my
Puerto
company
Rico?
gets a bid. This guy was in Puerto Rico.
They still wait if that's
Because I know it's a U.S. thing, but it's only nationwide in the United States.
Got it.
I know it's a U.S. territory, but it's still not in our nation, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So again, yeah, great topic.
And then I also have been told that CBD, a benefit it has is if you are doing, regular cannabis and you're with the, you want to just get high and doing THC, or CBD is supposed to offset.
Right.
So it's supposed to help. Like if you think you're too high, you take some of that and then it will hopefully bring you down.
Yeah, CBD is really healthy. I'm going to get samples and stuff soon. And once my processing gets reorganized and stuff, I'm going to get samples and stuff soon and we'll try out a lot of the stuff and all that. So, all right, guys, we're going to flip to today in history. Are you done, Christy?
Yep.
So today, July 24th, what happened today in July 24th? This is another one for Sione, which has something to do with France. In 1534, Jacques Cartier lands in Canada and he claimed it for France.
Okay.
In 1534, July 24th. That's interesting. Another one is in 1832, July 24th, Benjamin Bonneville leads the first wagon trail across the Rocky Mountains by Wyoming's South Pass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then in 1911, American explorer Hiram Bingham discovers Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas. And he didn't discover a goddamn thing. It was there already. You know what I'm saying? And I want to go to Machu Picchu, by the way. Me and someone just talking about that.
But does it say the lost city of?
Right.
Well, it was lost.
Sure.
It was still in the same spot.
It was there, but it was lost in the same spot.
Okay.
And then in 1943, and this is not a good one, but in July 24th of 1943, Operation Gomorrah begins bombing Hamburg until July 3rd of August. That's about 2 weeks almost, creating a firestorm and killing 42,600 people. Yeah, Operation Gomorrah. Interesting. So that's today in history, guys, and it's the HPR Chronicle with Shakur and Smith. It's Wednesday.
Sorry,
What's
just
up?
one last thing I should have said was most of my information I got from drug.com.
Oh, cool.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so shout out to drug.com for all the info. Yeah, man, don't forget to subscribe. All the info will be in the description. Check us out on ISENT Group Digital on YouTube for people that's not watching us there, but they want to watch us and not just listen on the streaming platforms. Again, thank you for all the platforms. rptalktruth@gmail is the Gmail. And we will see you guys next Wednesday. It's the HPR Chronicles with Shakur and Smith.
Hey.
And this is what we have to say about cannabis and a little bit about CBD as well.
Too, yeah. And we could probably do another.
That's like the new guy the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
CBD. All right, guys. Check it out. Go and smoke something. Take some drops of CBD. Get your medical marijuana in if you have some ailments. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Peace out.
Stay off the opioids.
Stay off the opioids, exactly.
Peace.
Peace.